like Classroom of the Elite, but when I say I like Classroom of the Elite, I mean this and not this. But that's sort of an exaggeration if I'm being honest, because I actually do enjoy this as well. But what I don't like is this, which comes as a result of this. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Classroom of the Elite is a pretty fun light novel. I can't necessarily say it's a great light novel because it definitely has its flaws, but even despite those flaws, it's still a pretty good time. For those of you that have never heard of this series, allow me to quickly give you the rundown. Set in a prestigious school in its own little island outside the city, where students are ranked based on academic performance and merit, with the top students being placed in Class A and the worst students being placed in Class D. Students receive a monthly allowance of private points, with the amount being determined by their class's performance, and these private points can be used for basically anything at this school, ranging from simple things such as buying food and clothes to more advanced things like being able to spend 20 million private points to move to whichever class of your choosing. Students can also trade their private points amongst themselves, which is a necessity when looking to seek cooperation with a student from another class. As well as this, there are also class points, which are the points used to determine your class's ranking. Class points can be earned and lost through special exams which take place throughout the school year and can include a wide range of tasks, from written tests and physical challenges to complex strategic games and social experiments, with each exam testing different skills and qualities. Put simply, students who were placed in Class D have the opportunity to work together to raise their class points, surpass the other classes along the way, and become Class A themselves. And that's exactly where we are introduced to our protagonist of this story, Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. And to put it briefly, he's a super genius. Unrivaled in academic prowess and physical ability, he is undoubtedly the strongest student in the world, let alone the school. However, he finds himself in Class D. We come to learn that every student in Class D is primarily there due to them having some sort of defect, rather than them having poor academic performance. It's pointed out that Ayanokoji scored a perfect 50 of 100 on every subject on the entrance exam, a total score in which you would only be able to get if you already knew the criteria required for full marks. Purposely sabotaging himself, of course, captures the attention of the teaching faculty as well as the student council. A student so clearly academically gifted, yet intentionally sabotaging himself and therefore earning himself a nice comfortable spot in Class D. And thus begins Ayanokoji's mission to reach Class A, as he uses, manipulates, and controls his class from the shadows, for he is the Alpha Lone Wolf Sigma Manipulator. Is what the average deranged Classroom of the Elite fan will tell you. This character, his goals and ambitions have completely gone over the heads of half of the fan base. And as a new creator, I fully understand that it's probably not in my best interest to single out this group of people, but I've got to do it, purely for the fact that you're all just so f***ing annoying and make it hard for anyone else to openly state that they enjoy Classroom of the Elite. I'm not joking. I told one of my friends to check out Classroom of the Elite, and he asked me if that's the one with those cringy edits, to which I said yes, but it actually turns out he was talking about Berserk edits.
What would you know about me?
There's a chance that if you haven't watched or read Classroom of the Elite, that you've come across one of these Classroom of the Elite edits amongst your many hours of brain rotting. I won't lie, I actually like these edits. They're pretty funny, and for some reason, they're always accompanied with the same song. The edits will often be your ranking, speculating the power levels of the main cast, which is fine. Power level discussion is nothing new to anime fans. It's honestly half the fun. With every edit always ending with Ayanokoji at SSSSS plus rank, or Z rank, or...
Oh, I see.
What the fuck is this? I really don't mean to come in so hard on these edits because, like I said, I do actually enjoy them and they're just some harmless fun. Hell, this edit actually reminded me how much cool stuff actually happened in Season 4, which I'm now looking forward to revisiting when it one day gets animated. But it's in the comment sections of these edits that you'll see the average Ayanokoji worshipper come out from under the shadows. So let me preface by saying this very clearly. Classroom of the Elite is a power fantasy. Don't let the environment and setting distract you from this. There is realistically no human like Ayanokoji. It is stated that he's better than any professional athlete in their given sport, while still being one of the greatest intellectual minds alive, all at the age of 17. And so despite the battle of ideologies between Ayanokoji and his father, this story is still inherently a self-insert power fantasy, intentionally making Ayanokoji to be seen with a straight or indifferent expression on his face at all times, at least for the anime that is. The light novel goes into much greater depth in regards to Ayanokoji's thoughts, and so while he does still struggle with the whole undoubtedly most perfect human alive thing, it is at least more fleshed out and seems more so like an actual person rather than an empty vessel like the anime makes him out to be. And while we all remember Season 1's cliffhanger ending with Ayanokoji's edgy monologue revealing that this was all a part of his plan and everyone is nothing but tools to him and he would do whatever whoever and use whoever he had to in order to win. This would go on to be the beginning of his character almost seeming as two different people between the anime and the light novel. Even in the more recent season 3 of the anime, there's a final monologue of Ayanokoji where he states that he'll use Kei as though she's a textbook for romance, and much like a textbook, he'll discard of it when he's finished reading it. Oh, this is so cool, so edgy! While it's not wrong that he does refer to Kei as a textbook to teach him romance, in the light novel, he also states that he really wants to be able to love Kei and doesn't so much mind the idea of being with her forever, which would be perfect. Except for the one kind of underlying issue of Kei being like a parasite, and so him being with her forever would contradict his want for her to be able to rely on herself and not others. Not a big issue really, pretty minor. But of course the anime would choose to skip over these additional details because that would ruin Ayanokoji's image of this awesome, independent lone wolf that doesn't want a woman, but rather an extra tool for his arsenal. Don't get me wrong, the anime isn't responsible for every issue in Classroom of the Elite, but it has played a big part in many fans of the show misinterpreting the goal of Ayanokoji. So what exactly is Ayanokoji's goal? Well, ultimately, I believe that his goal is to regain his emotions, and more specifically, find happiness. His future after he graduates remains undetermined, and so with his limited time at this school, he wishes to learn the things that he couldn't learn while inside the White Room, as due to a result of the White Room, he had lost most of his emotion. However, not all of his emotion, as it was due to his curiosity, a human emotion, that he even enrolled into this high school. And so with that slither of emotion that still remained intact, he's opened the gates for a chance to regain his sense of humanity, as the only thing that separates us as humans amongst other things is our ability to feel and convey emotion. I briefly touched on before about the battle of ideologies between Ayanokoji and his father. His father believes that geniuses can essentially be bred and curated, whereas Ayanokoji, who grew up in the genius breeding chambers, aka the White Room, is hoping for someone to beat him and prove his father wrong. And the person he's currently nurturing to be the one to hand him his first ever loss is none other than his classmate, and I'm gonna say friend even though they refuse to admit it, Horikita. In the climax of season 3, Ayanokoji seeing off Manabu, Horikita's older brother, someone who Ayanokoji would actually admit to having genuine respect for, and even states that he's going to miss him in the light novel. Although Manabu was only present for Ayanokoji's first year of high school, I believe their relationship and Manabu's words to be a great ignition for Ayanokoji's growth. It's in this farewell conversation in which Manabu asks Ayanokoji to leave his mark on the students here at this school, so that every student will remember the name of Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. Now, most people interpret this as him telling Ayanokoji to go all out, revealing his true abilities and thus allowing for all to understand what a remarkable student he truly is. But I believe that his words were said with the intent of wanting Ayanokoji to continue to influence people and help them to grow and go in the right path, much like how he did with his sister, Horikita. In an exchange before this one, Ayanokoji even confesses to Manabu that he's going to truly attempt to try changing Horikita, not in the gradual, manipulative ways in which he's done before, but instead genuinely try to change her and help her grow, so that she can surpass her older brother, who, unbeknownst to Horikita, speaks very highly of her. And it's by changing others, those words spoken by Manabu, that resonated so deeply within Ayanokoji, even if he himself doesn't realize it, he too is beginning to change. I can't speak about Ayanokoji's growth without referencing some of the more recent light novel volumes, so skip to here if you don't want to be spoiled. In Year 2, Volume 10, we see Ayanokoji and Horikita having a discussion at a cafe, as usual, except this discussion ends rather unusually, with for the first time in his entire life, Ayanokoji reveals a genuine smile across his face. Not a smile that was forced or one where he's made a conscious effort to do so, but simply a pure and honest smile, a reflection of his current feelings. This actually startles Horikita, and she exclaims she's never seen him make that expression before, where it's then disclosed that Ayanokoji wasn't even aware that he was smiling, and was only now made conscious of it, begging Ayanokoji to ask the question, why was it Horikita that made him smile? An answer which both he, as well as us, are eagerly awaiting, whilst having the Ayanokoji and Horikita shippers rubbing their feet together in excitement. In the following volume, Year 2, Volume 11, we're treated to some more unusual behavior from Ayanokoji, as he calls Horikita to come meet up with him so that they could just talk about nothing together. He tells Horikita, I often talk to you about special exams and class-related matters, but sometimes I want to talk about things that have nothing to do with that. Much like us, Horikita's obviously baffled and confused. And so Ayanokoji goes on to say, I wanted to have a meaningless conversation with you, unrelated related to our interests. Does that make sense to you? The rest of the conversation is pretty much Horikita trying to make sense of this and searching for a deeper meaning in all of it. I mean, fair play to her, it is Ayanokoji she's dealing with after all, but there was no deeper meaning or underlying message. Ayanokoji just wanted to talk about unimportant things with a classmate who he deems to be a friend. Needless to say, something like this, let alone smiling sincerely in the volume prior, are clear indicators that Ayanokoji is changing. And I really want to emphasize how important his growth as a character is, because it's the most important thing I want you Ayanokoji idolizers to realize. This manipulating genius you look up to so much is flawed. While he understands that, and he's trying his damn hardest to regain some sense of emotion, his fleeting humanity, you guys are instead looking at his negative traits that he's picked up after an entire childhood of psychological torture and PTSD, and thinking that's an optimal way to live your life and interact with others. And I'm only bringing this to attention because there's too many manipulate like Ayanokoji guides floating around on YouTube. Look, I'm not saying you have to be a friend to everyone you come into contact with, but if within the first seconds of talking to someone, you're thinking how you can potentially manipulate and use this person for your own gain, then I'm sorry, but you've already lost the game. Instead, you should seek to help those around you, teach them things, help them grow as people. The stronger and more capable your surrounding environment, the more resilient and proficient you yourself will be. And in return, allow yourself to learn from these people, as they can help you see the flaws and weaknesses in yourself that you alone can't see. Being a reliable shoulder to others, someone they know they can depend on, will most certainly help build more rapport than being a quiet, mysterious, manipulative little Sigma. I've been training at my local gym for 8 years now, and during my earlier teenage years, I would always train with a hoodie on and not really interact with anyone there. Over the past years, however, I started engaging with more of the members, the workers there, and soon enough, I'd find myself becoming a pretty known figure amongst all the gym members, and I wouldn't say it's a small gym either. The younger members now ask me for tips on how to grow their shoulders, and the older members ask me how to reduce some of that belly fat they've put on over the years. A place in which I once used to spend hours at, often not saying a word the entire time, has now become a second home for me. A community where I've met some amazing people who have helped me grow as an individual. Those who were once strangers, who I now well and truly referred to as friends. And all of this came about just from a simple behavioral change. Instead of being quiet and reclusive, I decided to be personable and charismatic. This can be as simple as, instead of quietly waiting for someone to finish their remaining sets, instead going up to them, asking if you could work in with them and introducing yourself. By no means does this mean you guys are now friends, but it means you've now got someone you're familiar with. And maybe everything I've been saying is still going over your head, or you just simply refuse to agree and still wish to do things that solely benefit you. Well then, which do you think has benefited me more? Being unknown in the gym, aka the Season 1 Ayanokoji approach, or being reputable in the gym, aka the present day Ayanokoji approach? Because I promise you, I wouldn't be the person I am today if I continued to be reticent. I wouldn't have met some of the people that truly helped me grow and gave me the courage to finally put myself out there and start posting content. Because the truth is, we need the help of others, whether you like to admit it or not. Even your god, Ayanokoji, still needs the help of others at times. Many times throughout the series, we see him call upon favors, ask for help from those in which he's established a relationship with, whether this be the help from classmates like Horikita or Kushida, or upperclassmen such as Manabu and Nagumo. He still openly calls upon the help from people he has an established relationship with in order to overcome an obstacle. He's been receiving the help of others this entire time, going as far back as to the butler that told him about this high school in the first place. So if you plan to just sit in a corner, quietly observing everyone, waiting for the perfect chance to attack them with level 100 maxed out manipulation, how do you expect to have these essential relationships established? You're not in an anime, you don't have plot armor, people aren't just going to be magically drawn to your aura.
No! What about my aura?
I mean, for f***'s sake, you're watching a Classroom of the Elite video. You have no aura! This idea that you should treat everyone as tools and care for no one but yourself is again contradicted by your own lord and savior, Ayanokoji. At the beginning of the first special exam in Season 3, we see Ayanokoji distinctly state that it's going to be difficult to protect everyone in his class, and how we might have to instead just prioritize protecting those that have become important to him. I've got a sneaking suspicion that the wider Classroom of the Elite audience is that of younger viewers, and so it worries me when I see those manipulate like Ayanokoji videos get tons of views. Because I'm sure out there somewhere, there's a kid that finished watching Classroom of the Elite, went to school the next day, and tried to be as quiet and mysterious as possible. And I won't lie, that's funny as I do think it's a good thing that they've taken an early interest in improving their social skills. Unfortunately though, mimicking your favorite anime, Classroom of the Elite, and following the Ayanokoji manipulation guide is sadly going to have the opposite effect. If you're truly intent on following in the footsteps of Ayanokoji, then become someone knowledgeable, strong, and reliable, and help to grow those around you, much like Ayanokoji is currently doing with the class leaders Horikita, Ryuen, and Sakayanagi. And look, I know I came off aggressive, saying that you Sigma Ayanokoji manipulator worshippers are stupid and annoying. But in all seriousness, I really do hope you come to understand the story that is trying to be told within Classroom of the Elite. Emulating how Ayanokoji was day one of high school, fresh out of the White Room, is no way to live. And if you're up to date with the light novels, having watched Ayanokoji's continued growth this whole time, then you should be fully aware of how determined he is to help grow and make everyone around him as strong as possible. Because no one, and I mean no one, would be more happy with the defeat of Ayanokoji than Ayanokoji himself. Because that will ultimately not only prove the White Room wrong, prove his father wrong, but most importantly, it will prove to himself that he's still human. Just like me and just like you.